everyone and welcome back. In this video we will be starting a new book called The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate Dickamello. Chapter 1. Once in a house on Egypt Street there lived a rabbit who was made almost entirely of china. He had china arms and china legs, china paws and a china head, a china torso and a china nose. His arms and legs were jointed and joined by wires so that his china elbows and china knees could be bent, giving him much freedom of movement. His ears were made of real rabbit fur, and beneath the fur there were strong bendable wires, which allowed the ears to be arranged into poses that reflected the rabbit's mood, jaunty, tired, full of ingenuity. His tail, too, was made of real rabbit fur and was fluffy and soft and well-shaped. The rabbit's name was Edward Tulane, and he was tall. He measured about 3 feet from the tip of his ears to the tip of his feet. His eyes were painted penetrating, intelligent blue. In all, Edward Tulane found himself to be an exceptional specimen. Only his whiskers gave him pause. They were long and elegant, as they should be, but they were of uncertain origin. Edward felt quite strongly that they were not the whiskers of a rabbit, whom the whiskers had belonged to initially, when savory animal, was a question that Edward could not bear to consider for too long, and so he did not. He preferred, as a rule, not to think unpleasant thoughts. Edward's mistress was a 10-year-old, dark-haired girl named Adeline Tulane, who thought almost as highly of Edward as Edward thought of himself. Each morning, after she dressed herself for school, Adeline dressed Edward. The child rabbit was in possession of an extraordinary wardrobe composed of handmade silk suits, custom shoes fashioned from the finest leather and designed specifically for his rabbit feet, and a wide array of hats equipped with holes so that they could easily fit over Edward's large and expressive ears. Each pair of well-cut pants had a small pocket for Edward's gold pocket watch. Adeline wound this watch for him each morning. "Now, Edward," she said to him after she was done winding the watch, "when the big hand is on the 12 and the little hand is on the 3, I will come home for you." She placed Edward on a chair in the dining room and positioned the chair so that Edward would be looking out the window and could see the path that led up to the Tulane house front door. Adeline balanced the watch on his left leg. She kissed the tips of his ears, and then she left, and Edward spent the day staring out at Egypt Street, listening to the tick of his watch and waiting. Of all the seasons of the year, the rabbit most preferred winter, for the sun set early then, and the dining room windows became dark, and Edward could see his own reflection in the glass. And what a reflection it was! What an elegant figure he cut! Edward never ceased to be amazed at his own fineness. In the evening, Edward sat at the dining room table with the other members of the Tulane family, Adeline, her mother and father, and Adeline's grandmother, who was called Pellegrina. True, Edward's ears barely cleared the tabletop, and true so he spent the duration of the meal staring straight ahead at nothing but the bright and blind white of the tablecloth. But he was there, a rabbit at the table. Adeline's parents found it charming that Adeline considered Edward real, and that she sometimes requested that a phrase of a story be repeated because Edward had not heard it. "Papa," Adeline would say, "I'm afraid that Edward didn't catch that last bit." Adeline's father would then turn in the direction of Edward's ear and speak slowly, repeating what he had just said for the benefit of the china rabbit. Edward pretended out of courtesy to Adeline to listen, but in truth he was not very interested in what people had to say, and also he did not care for Adeline's parents and their condescending manner toward him. All adults, in fact, condescended to him. Only Adeline's grandmother spoke to him as Adeline did, as one equal to another. Pellegrina was very old. She had a large, sharp nose and bright black eyes that shone like dark stars. It was Pellegrina who was responsible for Edward's existence. It was she who had commissioned his making, who had ordered his silk suits and his pocket watch, his jaunty hats and his bendable ears, his fine leather shoes and his jointed arms. and legs, all from a master craftsman in her native France. It was Pellegrin who had given him as a gift to Adeline on her 7th birthday. It was Pellegrin who came each night to tuck Adeline into her bed and Edward into his. "Will you tell us a story, Pellegrina?" Adeline asked her grandmother each night. "Not tonight, lady," said Pellegrina. "When?" asked Adeline. "What night?" "Soon," said Pellegrina. "Soon there will be a story." At this she turned off the light, and Edward and Adeline lay in the dark of the bedroom. "I love you, Edward," Adeline said each night after Pellegrina had left. She said those words, and then she waited, almost as if she expected Edward to say something in return. Edward said nothing. He said nothing because, of course, he could not speak. He lay in a small bed next to Adeline's large one. He stared up at the ceiling and listened to the sound of her breath entering and leaving her body, knowing that soon she would be asleep. Because Edward's eyes were painted on and he could not close them, he was always awake. Sometimes if Adeline put him into his bed on his side instead of on his back, he could see through the cracks in the curtain and out into the dark night. On clear nights the stars shone, and their pinprick light comforted Edward in a way they could not quite understand. Often he stared at the stars all night until the dark finally gave way to dawn. Chapter 2. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter.